When a teenage boy mysteriously dies from being attacked by killer flies, FBI agents Monica Reyes, John Doggett, and Dana Scully attempt to crack the case. A group of teenagers record videos wherein they perform a variety of stunts. This is created by best friends Commander Sky Winky and Captain Dare. In one episode, Captain Dare stands on a baseball field with his arms open wide, ready to accept wherever the ball hits him. It lands on his private parts, making everyone more amused than concerned. In another episode, he enters a porta potty while Commander Sky drags it with a car. Before doing the stunt, Captain Dare jokingly asks his girlfriend, Natalie Gordon, to kiss him, but she refuses. They start recording, and when the cubicle reaches a curve, it tumbles over. Once again, they completed another entertaining episode, so they celebrate. However, they haven't had enough, so they record another episode. Captain Dare will get on a shopping cart and roll down a ramp, where Natalie waits below him with a flaming torch in her mouth. She refuses to participate, thinking that she could get crushed by the cart. However, Natalie gets pressured by the crowd and ends up agreeing. When they start recording, the cart accidentally leaves the track and ends up in the gutter. Captain Dare falls, and Natalie immediately goes to check on him. Suddenly, she starts screaming. Bill, which is Captain Dare's real name, is dead with a part of his head collapsed. With the incident being unexplainable, the local authorities call FBI special agents John Doggett and Monica Reyes. Dr. Fountain, the medical examiner, avoids giving his thoughts about the case. Bill's parents are suing everyone, and he doesn't want to get into trouble. As John and Dr. Fountain speak, Monica notices that the boy's eyelid is moving. When she opens it with a pair of surgical tongs, flies suddenly erupt from Bill's eye socket. Because of this, they call in Dr. Dana Scully to investigate the matter. After examining Bill's body, Scully explains that there are tons of insect feces in the boy's ears and face. They fed at such a furious rate that it caused the boy's face to collapse from the inside. She adds that the helmet protected Bill's head from the impact, so his death wasn't caused by trauma. Monica asks if the flies killed him, but Scully doesn't confirm this. John wonders why the flies chose to attack Bill, so he speculates that the helmet must have insect pheromones. As Scully searches the web for flies that act so aggressively, Dr. Rocky Bronzino walks into the room, boasting his knowledge about the insects. As if to act cool, he suggests that the Australian bushfly craves protein so much that they crawl into noses, mouths, and ears to feed on blood and moisture. The New Zealand screwworm fly also burrows in an open wound. Unimpressed, Scully points out that none of these flies he mentioned are native to America. However, Rocky claims that no virulent foreign factors are involved since the flies from Bill's body are typical house flies. In Garfield High School, Natalie sits alone when David Winkle, Commander Sky Winky's real name, disturbs her for a memorial video he's making for Bill. However, she blames him for her boyfriend's death. Seeing her upset, the school's outcast, Dylan Lokensgaard, stands up for her. This triggers David, so he smashes a pie on his head. However, the principal, who also happens to be Dylan's mom, witnesses the act, so she calls David to her office. Inside, John and Monica wait for him while watching the teen stunt show. During this, Monica notices Dylan amongst the crowd in the video, though he wasn't cheering like everyone else. Finally, David and the principal arrive, so they interrogate him about Bill's death. They question him about his intention to sell the video of his friend's death to a news network. This makes David realize that he's being accused of killing Bill, so John points out that in their video, he was the one who handed Bill the helmet, so he could have put something in it. As they speak, David keeps on scratching his lower back. Finally, he springs from his seat, desperate to scratch his lower back. He takes his shirt off, and to his horror, blood-sucking insects have feasted on his flesh, spelling out an insulting word on his back. Meanwhile, Dylan goes home and deliberately avoids his mother. When he gets to his room, he stares at Natalie's photo. His mother knocks on the door, so he drowns himself in loud music while trying to distract himself from the swarm of flies in his room. Elsewhere, John and Monica meet up with Scully, who reports that all the flies from Bill's body were female, so something biological must have caused the flies to attack. John mentions the recent incident with David. When paramedics came to treat the boy, it was found to be an aggressive attack of body lice. This leads Monica to believe that while Scully might be right about the incident being caused by biology, someone is directing the attacks. Monica doesn't know how it's possible, but she and John created a list of witnesses. One of them is Dylan, who's been present in every recorded stunt despite being a loner. The next day, Natalie goes to Dylan's house, but his mother dismisses her. Because of this, Dylan sneaks out of his window to catch up with Natalie. However, his mother stops him, saying that the girl is bad for him. Dylan argues that he's been friends with Natalie since they were kids, but his mother replies that they're adults now and they're going through changes. This pisses Dylan, so he speeds off on his bike after telling his mom that he prefers his dad over her. Elsewhere, Scully and Rocky investigate the crime scene. With a special device that Rocky tweaked, they can detect pheromones within a mile away. Still, Scully is baffled at how houseflies manage to act so aggressively. Rocky replies that bugs act through stimuli because they have no emotions or thoughts. It may be that they were driven by desire. Just then, Rocky attempts to flirt with Scully, saying that humans respond to pheromones too. Then, he weirdly shares that caliphorid flies stay joined for 1.5 hours when mating. Finding this weird and inappropriate, Scully tells him that she's a mother. However, Rocky only replies that mothers are women too. Suddenly, the device starts beeping, and Rocky sees that there's a high concentration of C13 caliphorone nearby. As they look up at the sky, waiting for the bug, they fail to notice Dylan passing by. Meanwhile, Natalie arrives at school. Dylan appears shortly after but crashes into the bushes when he desperately catches up to her. As he tries to act cool, Natalie shares that she came by his house to apologize for the incident at the cafeteria. Dylan says that he was just worried about her. Just then, Natalie stops in her tracks, seemingly touched by his words. She shares that no one understands her, and her parents are downplaying her grief about Bill's death. She adds that she wants to turn back time, and Dylan wonders if she meant the time when they were kids. This makes Natalie smile because she recalls when they hid under a tree during a game. Wistfully, Dylan mentions that their names are still carved in that tree. This makes Natalie feel awkward, so she excuses herself to go to class. Once he's alone, Monica and John approach Dylan, asking if they could interview him. They end up talking in the principal's office, where Monica offers him tissues to wipe off his sweat. Dylan only gets to answer a few questions when his mother barges in, angry that they interrogated her son without her permission. As the detectives try to reason with her, Dylan notices a swarm of flies gathering at the ceiling above him. When the adults are done bickering, they get shocked upon seeing Dylan being covered by the insects. Pest control immediately gets called to the school, but John knows it's pointless since the flies are gone. Meanwhile, Dylan's mom takes him home, refusing to answer any more questions from the agents. As Dylan enters the car, he sees David and his friends angrily staring at him. When they leave, Monica tells John that Dylan caused the bugs to attack him so that he'd seem like the victim rather than the perpetrator. She doesn't know how he does this, but Monica claims that there's a way to find out. Remembering the tissue paper that Dylan left at the office, Monica hands the specimen to Scully for analysis. When they reach Rocky's lab, the pheromone detecting device starts beeping loudly. With this, they realize that the tissue is loaded with C13 caliphorone, or simply insect pheromones. They're baffled by how a teenage boy can secrete this. Scully assumes that Dylan's body chemistry is going crazy because of puberty, but Monica thinks it's more than just hormones or biology. She adds that Dylan is not just attracting bugs, but he's also making them act out. Scully asks what could cause him to do this, and the two agents reply that they saw him talking to Natalie. That night, Dylan lies on his bed while staring at Natalie's picture. Suddenly, he hears a car park by the road, and when he looks down, he sees Natalie. She immediately climbs to Dylan's window, saying that she needs to talk to him. When she gets inside, she says she hasn't told him many things, but she'll say them now. She starts by saying that though they grew apart, she never forgot him. With their interaction earlier at school, she realized how special he is to her. With this, the two passionately kiss. However, Natalie abruptly pulls away with blood all over her mouth. Scared, she says that something is wrong with Dylan's tongue, so she speeds off toward her car. Dylan tries to stop her, but Natalie leaves nonetheless. Suddenly, another car arrives, and it's David and his friends. They command Dylan to get in the car with them, wherein they interrogate him for Bill's death. This time, Dylan doesn't cover up the truth. When he opens his mouth, spider-like legs crawl out of him and begin shooting webs. This makes everyone freak out, causing the car to tilt over and crash. Meanwhile, Scully and Rocky head to Dylan's house, where they find the front door wide open. Nobody's home, so they welcome themselves inside. As soon as they enter, Rocky detects trace levels of pheromones in the house. He seems excited to work with Scully, and even mentions that it's like he's in a hymenopteran relationship with her, wherein they help each other reach a higher purpose. As if this isn't creepy enough, Rocky adds that Scully completes him. Weirded out, Scully only tells him to investigate downstairs while she goes upstairs. Elsewhere, Monica and John pass by the car crash. Everyone is alive, but they're covered in spiderwebs. David claims that Dylan's a bug, and he chewed the back window to escape. Hearing this, Monica tells John to stay while she makes sure that Dylan didn't go to Natalie's house. Meanwhile, Scully finds a picture of Natalie on Dylan's bed. Suddenly, she receives a call from John, informing her that Dylan's gone rogue and has caused her car crash. Scully immediately goes to assist the other agents while Rocky stays behind. On the other hand, Monica reaches Natalie's house and tells her that she might be the key to stopping Dylan. Natalie refuses to help at first because Dylan's a freak, and she wants to stay away from him. However, when she hears that he's attacking other people, she finally agrees. As Natalie stands to go with Monica, she gasps when she sees Dylan by the door. Dylan is disappointed that Natalie doesn't accept who he is. However, she reminds him that he killed Bill. Dylan argues that he did this to protect her from dying from all those stunts. He holds out his hand and commands Natalie to go with him. However, Monica tells him to stay back. Meanwhile, Rocky reaches the attic, where he also finds a strong trace of pheromones. His device starts beeping fast, and when he looks around, he sees Dylan's mom with the same spider legs coming out of her mouth. She shoots Rocky with the webs, and he blacks out. Shortly after, Dylan goes home to get the car and takes Natalie with him. However, his mother sees him and reveals that she knows her son's secret. This is what she's been trying to tell him, and she adds that she also hid this from his father. Meanwhile, John heads to Natalie's house, where he finds Monica wrapped in spider webs. As he frees her, he shares that Scully went to Dylan's house after losing contact with Rocky. During this, Scully cautiously enters Dylan's house with a gun in hand. She finds Natalie in the living room crying as she points upstairs. Scully heads to the attic, where she finds bodies covered in spider webs on the ceiling. Suddenly, someone calls for help from one of the webs, and as she tears it open, she gets greeted by Rocky. Shortly after, Monica, John, and a few other agents head to Dylan's house. There, they find Scully trying to revive Rocky, who's only pretending to be unconscious. Later on, Scully reports that 4 more bodies were found in the Lokensgaard attic, including that of Michael Lokensgaard, Dylan's father, who's been missing for some time. It seems like he and the others were victim to Dylan's mother, who, according to Rocky, is neither human nor insect. She is something in between, a biological anomaly whose difference from the rest of humanity could be hidden only for so long. Scully adds that no matter how hard Dylan tries to fit in like the other kids, he can never defeat the unseen forces that direct behavior, especially those that steer the soul. As Scully explains this, Dylan is being driven out of town with his mother. Meanwhile, Natalie sees something flicker outside her window. To her surprise, she sees a bunch of fireflies spelling out the words, "I love you." With her emotions conflicting, she tearfully smiles at the message.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.